Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. You're on a business trip, city you've never been to before, you close the big deal. Okay, now what are you going to do? Go shopping. Okay, you explore and discover this funky little boutique. You never heard of it before, but so what? You step inside, and there they are. Those beautiful Gucci shoes you've been dreaming of at a price you can't believe. You got a PIN number, so you know that a loan obtained by an unscrupulous person isn't going to be enough for fraudulent card use in the future, but also you've heard that a card alone without a PIN can be used in a merchant's terminal, which allows authorization by magnetic strip or chip without entering the PIN. That's right, a PIN can be used with a cloned magnetic strip or a card which is stolen or misused. So criminals want to obtain both your card and your PIN. What are you going to do? The answer? EMV, soon in your ATM. In fact, if you've traveled internationally, you may have already experienced it. Greetings, everyone. It's Thursday, July 6, 2011, and this is a special premier-focused edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. EMV and your ATM may just be the answer to your PIN transactions in the future. EMV, that stands for Europay, MasterCard, and Visa, a global standard for interoperation of integrated circuit cards and point-of-sale card terminals and ATMs for authorizing credit and debit card transactions. EMV, PIN, ATM, POS, and a bit of the chip as we explore the financial technology industry's transformation of transactions with a very special guest. An Excalibur Award-winning company, a premier tag member company, and a global leader in connecting consumers, merchants, financial institutions, businesses, and governments, literally transforming the exchange of value between buyers and sellers. Up to today's Tag Premier Member Tech Talk focus, Blake Barker, Senior Director, Card Services with Georgia's own and Columbus-based TSYS. With 15 years of related industry experience, Blake's primary responsibilities include day-to-day operations, setting strategic direction, and business development for TSYS' 250 employee-plus and growing card services division, credit card technology and innovation, and now an industry-changing giant was changed by Tag's Excalibur recognition as Tech Talk goes to Columbus, and we speak with none other than Blake Barker, TSYS' Senior Director, Card Services. Blake, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thanks, Frank.
Well, I think that our month is ending with probably one of the biggest and better awards that were given during the Excalibur. The month of June has been a focus on the upcoming Excalibur Awards, and what we've been doing is talking to a lot of previous winners. Let's, I guess, start out. I can't think of too many people in Georgia and certainly throughout the Southeast that aren't familiar with TSYS, but give us a little bit of a brief overview about the organization.
Well, Frank, TSYS is headquartered in Columbus, Georgia. We have more than 8,000 team members, and we're in 85 different countries around the world. We're a global leader in the space in connecting consumers and merchants, financial institutions, businesses, and governments by transforming the exchange of value between the buyers and the sellers.
Well, one of the things that I'm sure our listeners are impressed with is not only the 8,000 members, but the 85 countries. I really am impressed with that number. I knew you guys were international, but I had no idea how rich and how extensive it was. Now, go into a little bit more granular as far as your role in the organization. What do you do?
Well, Frank, my name is Blake Barker, and I'm a senior director in the Card Services division of TSYS. I'm responsible for providing card products and personalization services to TSYS' client base. My primary responsibilities really include managing the day-to-day operations and setting strategic direction and business development for the division. I also have oversight of the sales and implementation of new and existing products for TSYS Card Services.
I can only imagine with things like software as a service and clouds and the whole impact of what's now being called fintech, when we're talking about developing new products and new strategies, got to be pretty exciting and challenging all at the same time. Kind of an interesting segue to a degree, although this is already a year old. But for our listeners and our members that may be interested in getting involved in this year's Excalibur Awards, explain a little bit about the project and the technology that won your recognition last year.
Well, we launched we started, years ago actually with the concept, and then finally launched a product called TSYS Card Shop, which is a digital card fulfillment and marketing solution, and it combines on-demand card manufacturing with some leading card management and customization capabilities for the actual card itself that you would carry in your wallet. We really have enabled our financial institutions or the issuers of the cards to design and manufacture these cards on demand, and in some cases provide that customization out to the end user or the card holder to customize the card that they carry in their wallet.
Now, again, when you're talking about a global marketplace, I'm sure the issues of safety and security with electronic transactions and even the trust as it relates, over and above any convenience that it might represent. I am right in saying that TSYS covers a lot of different financial institutions. When we talk about 85 countries, you're not necessarily directly involved with the customer. You're involved with the financial institution that is involved with the customer, or am I wrong about that?
Well, in the TSYS core business, that is correct. However, we do have some touch point with the actual customer through a recent acquisition of TSYS Merchant Solutions. The idea of that particular situation is going to be some form of an exchange where they'll be able to unify. One of the things I'm amazed with is the unification and convergence that's happening around anything that's digital, and the capability of, even your cell phone, or what they now call mobile digital devices, have become transactional capability enabled. Let's talk a little bit now about, especially in your role, again, I mentioned earlier about exciting and challenging all at the same time. What are some of the upcoming technology innovations that you see? Well, one is we're going to continue to develop and enhance the TSYS Card Shop offering that we just spoke of, but another is EMV travel card, which is a EuroPay, MasterCard, Visa standard card, and it's a chip and pin card that is really issued globally. The U.S. is probably the only major market in the world that has not adopted this particular technology. So as we have issuers in very concentrated, certainly in the commercial space, as we have these issuers with customers that are traveling abroad or just affluent travelers in general, would need this type of card in order to make purchases in the international market from a consumer perspective. So we already have seen and heard where, U.S. travelers go abroad and they can't actually use their card at self-service type terminals because it doesn't accept a magstripe card. Mm-hmm. So we have gone now and we're implementing a process and the functionality to issue these EMV cards here in the States to these particular card holders that the issuers seem to think will need this type of card. So in the beginning, somewhat of a small population, but certainly we feel that it will rapidly grow.
And, of course, there is the next and potentially the biggest market as it comes ashore in the United States. You're talking about.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Future development and the learning curve as far as the EMVs coming ashore here in the United States, that eventually there'll be that kind of singular type transactional tool, if you will, to be able to utilize the same type of thing inside the United States as well as around the rest of the globe, or is that something that's already in place?
Well, I think it's coming. There's very few merchants in the U.S., that accept EMV today. So it certainly has to do with merchant acceptance as well as consumer or cardholder acceptance. EMV, we feel like, or I feel like, based on the market and where it's going, that it will ultimately be something that the U.S. requires. However, we are in the space already of the contactless payments today, as kind of secondary to the magstripe. So there are other options, and then you mentioned earlier mobile payments as well. So that's certainly an emerging technology, and not sure how all that will play together, but time will sure tell.
I was at a conference about a week or so ago, and they were talking about alignment. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of obviously what used to be segmented internally with different departments dealing with different customer bases, now beginning to mix not only with the marketing people who have to promote those things, but also the IT people that have to implement them. And now it's a case where it's becoming more and more source to consumption, less and less about the particulars and more about, I heard the line, how customers want to do business with us rather than how we do business with them. Is that something that you guys are into as far as trying to do analytics and get some kind of feedback as far as the innovations that you're playing with from the customer themselves?
Certainly. We speak to, and again, it goes back to the dynamic of who's the customer. So from my perspective, we certainly deal with our customers who, or at least from a card issuance perspective, are the issuers, mm-hmm. And certainly how they want to do business with us and how they are attempting to do business with their cardholder. And it goes back to kind of what I was talking about with the product for the award. It's a product that is geared towards making the issuer or enabling the issuer to be more cost effective in their issuance of cards, but as well as certainly a great marketing tool to go back to the card holder and be able to offer more choice when it comes to the card that you use every day. One thing about EMV or mobile payments or all of no matter which particular segment or that you discuss or you have conversation about, it always goes back to, will the actual card ever go away? And at this point, we're not seeing that that's necessarily the case.
Well, again, it was funny because I was just going to lean towards, putting you on the spot as far as trying to look into the future and talk about how the whole idea of commerce, now it's being impacted by what they call social commerce, and there's so many credits and awards and benefits that can be done by customers that are motivated not only to buy products and services, but to take specific actions in a way and get rewarded for that in some term, in some way being able to, quote unquote, be deposited to something like a transactional card that we're talking about. Rather than myself speculating and stumbling around, you mentioned cards in your position are pretty much solid and are going to be around for a while. What's next? If it weren't cards, would it be these electronic devices or something similar to it, or actually, as you're mentioning, do you see that card coming out of your wallet pretty much being the case for the next few years?
Well, I'll use the term to whatever is the emerging technology next, which I would certainly believe it's some sort of mobile payment device, through the cell phone. Mm-hmm. However, I would always expect, at least in the near term, for there to be a companion card to go along with that. For example,
trust and verify.
Well, that and your cell phone battery dies, and how do you make a payment? Or yeah. Or, you lose your cell phone, and typically, you'd have your wallet. So I guess there's a lot of different opportunities. And there are things that TSYS is doing also to try and bridge the gap between where we are today with the traditional card and that mobile payment. We have launched and actually spent some time doing some product pilots with RFID tags or stickers, on the back of the cell phone. So that's certainly a bridge, to help get us from where we are today to ultimately to some mobile payments.
Now, again, being TSYS, I know you've gotten plenty of recognition and accolades from probably a number of different organizations and industries. Once again, to return back to our purpose as far as Excalibur Month and talking to some of the previous winners, let's talk a little bit about what impact or importance, let's say, did the Excalibur Award have for TSYS?
Well, Frank, the Excalibur Award was important to TSYS because it's a great honor, to be recognized by someone like TAG for the work and effort that the company puts forth, to be the best we can be. We certainly don't take technology lightly, and it's very important to us corporately that we prove ourselves in this space. We want to be known for our technology, and to be award-winning is certainly a whole different deal for us. It was a great exercise, for us to go through this process, and a great opportunity to participate overall.
And of course, among hundreds of nominations, to be able to be recognized, even though in some cases it was almost, I would assume, expected. You think, well, that kind of thing doesn't come from Georgia; it comes from the Silicon Valley or something. I think the same thing holds true when we think about creative innovation and advancements that use technology from a competitive standpoint. Certainly, TSYS has been leading the way for many decades, really. Let's talk a little bit about the impact itself. We talked about the importance, but this project technology since the Excalibur Awards, have you really seen or felt anything?
Well, we've certainly seen an impact to, really being able to get the word out. I mean, one of the things I was going to mention is, we've had this, we announced this particular achievement, on our website along with other, channels out to our our customer base. Mm-hmm. And, the impact is that, we had a product, we developed a product, we saw a need, and we wanted to kind of fill a gap in the market, and I think we've done that, and we're going to continue to evaluate, additional functionality for this particular product, as well as offer new products, just as we've talked about today.
Well, would you obviously recommend that the effort and the time, I would almost be an understatement, redundant to say that, because by the way you're describing, here's a case where how busy you guys are, how innovative, and how obviously global your activities are, yet you took the time to nominate or get nominated, go through the process, and then ultimately become a winner. So I'm going to guess that you'd highly recommend it out to any of our listeners today to enter the Excalibur Awards, simply because of the experience. And, of course, one of the things we've been saying about recognition, the idea of really truly deserved recognition is important for all of us, not just the technology industry, but business in general, to motivate, as you point out, I guess, internal teams as well as external customers that know and work with the brand. Well, I can only say this, Blake. I think you guys are doing a great job. You've been masterful for decades over the years. You certainly have helped to make the whole fintech area and the financial area one of the places where Georgia leads in technology. I would say to our listeners, all to our members, this has been a month-long focus on the Excalibur Awards. It is nomination time. The nominations have been announced, and we're looking for anyone that either is involved in or knows someone that's involved in using technology for innovation and as a competitive weapon in today's global marketplace. Blake, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, not only to join us here today on Tech Talk, but for the whole TSYS organization and all the things you do for the state of Georgia and for the technology industry as a whole.
Well, Frank, we thank you very much and appreciate you having us.